സീതാറാം യെച്ചൂരി ഇപ്പോൾ മാധ്യമങ്ങളെ കാണുകയാണ് തത്സമയം.
At that time, your health budget is reduced. When the entire Kisans and the farmers are in this cold, on lakhs and lakhs of them are protesting on the borders of Delhi, the cost for them, which was actually being met by some subsidy on fertilizers, that fertilizer subsidy has been reduced. Food subsidy has been reduced, which means the public distribution system and the ration shops, that system will collapse. When we already have the highest rate of prices for petrol and diesel, at that time, the subsidy on petroleum products is reduced. So and the worst is the health reduction, and along with that, the unemployment when it's galloping. At that time, when it is hoped the government will do something to provide employment, at that time, REGA budgetary allocation has been reduced by 42%. What is this happening in the country? Instead of giving relief to the people, they are making their life more miserable. They're making their life more miserable. And the next point, my fourth point, why I'm saying this, is that the relief to the economy can only come when there is greater governmental expenditures, so that the recession can be met, domestic demand can be raised, and as a result of that, the economic recovery can begin. Instead of that, what do we see? The total governmental expenditures remain stagnant at what it was last year. No increases in expenditure. And on top of this, you say the finance minister yesterday very proudly was saying that the fiscal deficit going up is an indication of government's extra expenditures. On the contrary, if you study the budget documents, it's clear the fiscal deficit has grown because of a revenue contraction. Government's revenues have decreased very, very rapidly and very significantly, and that is why the fiscal deficit went up, not because of more expenditure. So expenditure not growing, and it's equal to what it was last year, according to the budget documents, which means in real terms, it is much less than what was spent last year. And even in that situation, there can only be a further contraction of the economy. So instead of reversing this recession, we may well end up in actually creating a worse situation in the coming year. And on top of this, corporate tax concessions have been increased. The tax collection from corporate tax is going to fall by nearly 1 lakh crore of rupees this year compared to last year. Likewise, the income tax collection are going to fall by a very significant amount, by more than 80,000 crores. So in this sort of a situation, this budget will only, that's why I said, a K-shaped recovery, if at all. That is, the rich will become richer and the poor will become poorer. And this is happening at a time when during this COVID, during the last 9 months, 100 Indian billionaires have increased their wealth by a whopping 13 lakh crores of rupees. Already, while people are suffering, they are making they're accumulating wealth. And on top of that, these sort of concessions will again create this problem. And that is why, Anjan, and that is why today, this sort of a situation, in this sort of a situation, instead of creating conditions for an economic recovery, you are creating conditions that will worsen it further. मैं किस लिए कह रहा हूं कि ये आर्थिक मंदी को दूर करने की जगह और गहरा करने का संभावना है। इस बजट के अंदर देखिए, आर्थिक मंदी से बाहर निकलना है तो सरकारी खर्चे को बढ़ाना है। सरकारी खर्चे को बढ़ाने की जगह अब उसी स्तर पर रखे हैं जो पिछले साल में सरकार ने खर्च किया। अब उसी स्तर में रखने का मतलब है असलियत में ये, क्योंकि आप महंगाई बढ़ेगी तो इसके साथ साथ ये असलियत में घटेगी। अगर सरकारी खर्चा घटता है तो आर्थिक मंदी से हम बाहर नहीं निकल सकते। दूसरी ओर वित्त मंत्री बड़ी मतलब शर्त से कह रही थे बजट पेश करते समय कि हमारा वित्तीय घाटा बढ़ा, इसका मतलब है सरकारी खर्चा बढ़ा है ना। बजट को आप परिशीलन करके देखिए, वित्तीय घाटा आपका बढ़ा क्योंकि सरकार की आमदनी घटी, टैक्स की आमदनी घटी, और उसके चलते हुए ये वित्तीय घाटा आपका बढ़ा, तो सरकारी खर्चे के बढ़ने से नहीं। और दूसरी ओर से आप क्या कह रहे हो कि हम जो है अमीर बड़े बड़े पूंजीपतियों को, उनके कॉर्पोरेटों को, उनके लिए टैक्स के कंसेशंस दे रहे हैं। यानी पिछले साल के मुकाबले में कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स का जो आमदनी सरकार को मिलेगी वो इस साल तकरीबन 1 लाख करोड़ से कम होगी। उसी तरीके से इनकम टैक्स की आमदनी तकरीबन 80,000 करोड़ रुपए से कम होगी। यानी आपके मध्यम वर्ग के लिए कोई राहत नहीं टैक्स में, लेकिन अमीरों के लिए राहत, और इसका मतलब है उनके हाथ में और संपत्ति बढ़ेगी। ये कब हो रहा है? पिछले 9 महीने में 100 हमारे देश के खरबपतियों की संपत्ति 11 लाख करोड़ रुपए बढ़ा, 13 लाख करोड़ रुपए। और ये संपत्ति उनका बढ़ता गया इस पैंडेमिक के चलते हुए, इस आर्थिक मंदी के चलते हुए। अब उनको और मुनाफे बढ़ाने का मौका मिलेगा। और ये सब मेरा चौथा पॉइंट मेरा यही है अगला, कि ये सब उस समय हो रहा है जब ये कहते जा रही है सरकार कि ज्यादा आप जो है कंसेशंस दोगे पूंजी को, उसके चलते हुए ज्यादा निवेश होगा, और उस ज्यादा निवेश होगा तो उसके चलते हुए रोजगार भी बढ़ेगा, आर्थिक विकास भी होगा। देखिए, कंसेशन देकर अगर निवेश बढ़ा भी तो ये अपने आप आर्थिक विकास की ओर नहीं ले जाता। अगर निवेश बढ़ा तो जो भी उत्पादन होगा उस निवेश बढ़ने से, उस वस्तु को बेचना पड़ेगा ना। खरीदने वाला कौन है? लोगों के हाथ में खरीदने की क्षमता घट रही है। दुनिया के मार्केट जो है वह उसके अंदर मंदी है, ना आप दुनिया में बेच सकते हैं आप, ना देश में बेच सकते हो आप। तो निवेश बढ़ाकर जो उत्पादन आएगा वो उसका फायदा क्या है? उल्टा वही पैसा अगर सरकार निवेश करके अपनी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाती और उसके चलते हुए लाखों करोड़ों की तादाद में नए नौकरियों की सृष्टि होती, और वो नौकरियों की सृष्टि में जो नौजवान जिसको रोजगार मिलेगा, वो नौजवान जब अपनी वेतन खर्च करना लगेगा, जब देश की अर्थव्यवस्था में मांग बढ़ेगा और आर्थिक विकास हो सकती है। लेकिन अब जो होने वाला है उसका ठीक उल्टा। And that's why I said this entire logic of more concessions to the rich and corporates means greater investment. And greater investment means greater production. Greater production means greater employment, which means greater demand generation and therefore an economic revival. But this is a flawed logic, because more investment, even if it takes place, will take place to produce something, and what is produced has to be sold if there has to be both profit and economic growth. But people's purchasing power is declining. They don't have money to buy. The global market is stagnant at best, if not declining. You can't sell it abroad. You can't sell it inside our country. Then what is this investment for? This investment is not going to do anything except further widen economic inequalities. The rich becoming richer, poor becoming poorer, the K-shaped recovery. So that is why this is not the way out. The way out is, instead of giving concessions to private capital, government invests in public investments, builds a much needed infrastructure that is required for the country. And in that process, crores of new jobs will be generated because they'll be required to build this infrastructure. And once this youth who gets employed starts spending the wages, then the domestic demand will begin to rise, And that will lead to our closed factories being opened and to an economic recovery. That is the way forward. That's obviously, I mean, it's obvious writing on the wall. But no, in the urge to provide greater and greater profits for capital, this government has adopted this strategy, which will further ruin the livelihood of our people. And finally, the last point is concerning federal structure and center-state relations. Now, they are very proudly claiming that the government is implementing what the Finance Commission said, the devolution of 41% of the central tax collections to the states. Yes, the devolution of 41% may be, that will have to be examined in future, that may be achieved. But then, where is the sleight of hand? The sleight of hand lies in the fact that what is divisible between the center and the states is the tax revenues. What is not divisible are the cess and the surcharges that the center frequently imposes. In this budget, an agriculture cess has been imposed. And in the name of agriculture, you said that cess on petroleum products. And petroleum products means they said that we are reducing the excise duty levels so that the consumers are not affected. How true that is, only time will tell. And I'm sure that is also a false claim. That's going to be a false claim. But then what happened? The excise duties are reduced. That means the shareable pool for the states is reduced. The cess is increased, which means the revenues for the central government increase. That is, central government increases its revenues at the expense of the states. The GST compensation, that element has been reduced in the budget by more than 20,000 crores to the states. So, and the net result of all this is the states are going to be starved. There are many other examples of this. And that will mean not only a violation of our federal structure of our constitution, but that will mean reducing all states to come with a begging bowl to the center. And it's the center's mercy that whether it will help or not. And that is that is a terrible state of affairs for our country, our unity, integrity, and dignity of people of each state and their elected governments. So in this sense also, this budget is very, very regressive. आखिरी पॉइंट मेरा यही कहना था कि यहाँ पर केंद्र और राज्यों के बीच में संबंधों को ये बजट के चलते हुए और बिगड़ेंगे। राज्यों की वित्तीय परिस्थिति में बहुत बड़ा घाटा होगा। ये कैसे? सरकार ये अब बड़ी गर्व से कहती है कि जो फाइनेंस कमीशन ने कहा 41% पूरा का पूरा टैक्स रेवेन्यू को वो जो है राज्यों में बांटेगी। ठीक है, हो सकता है वो सही होगा, अभी अनुभव बताएगा इस साल में। लेकिन जो राज्यों के साथ शेयर होता है वो है टैक्स रेवेन्यू। जो आपका सेस होता है, जो केंद्र सरकार लगाती जाती है हर बार और कई बार, और आपके सरचार्जेस जो होते हैं वो राज्यों के साथ शेयर नहीं होते। इसका मतलब यह है कि टैक्स रेट घटाए हो आप कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स के लिए, इनकम टैक्स रेट बढ़ाए नहीं, मध्यम वर्ग को लागत कुछ नहीं दिलवाया। लेकिन आप जो है आज के दिन एक कृषि के नाम पर एक सेस जो है ये बजट लागू करती है 4% का, और ये है आपके पेट्रोलियम पदार्थों पे। और ये सेस जब लागू हो गई, दाम बढ़ेंगे, तो इसके चलते हुए कहा कि हम जो है एक्साइज ड्यूटी घटाएंगे। अब देखेंगे एक्साइज ड्यूटी घटेगा या नहीं घटेगा, लेकिन अगर एक्साइज ड्यूटी घटाएंगे वो उद्देश्य है, यानी जो राज्यों को जो मिलना है राशि, वो जो पूल है टैक्स का पूल, वो घटेगा, नुकसान होगा राज्यों का। सेस का पूरा पैसा केंद्र सरकार के साथ रहेगा, फायदा होगा केंद्र को। अब केंद्र को फायदा, राज्यों को नुकसान। और यही हुई जीएसटी का कॉम्पनसेशन फंड था। उस कॉम्पनसेशन फंड के अंदर 20,000 करोड़ से ज्यादा जो है वो घटाया गया इस बार, और वो कुल मिला के वो 20,000 होगा। अभी जो सरकार बजटरी डॉक्यूमेंट में कहता है कि 6,317 करोड़ रुपए वो जो है घटाए, जब ऑलरेडी जीएसटी के जो बकाया है वो पूरा का पूरा दे नहीं पा रहे राज्यों को। तो ऐसी परिस्थिति में केंद्र और राज्यों के बीच में संबंध और बिगड़ेंगे, और ये हमारे देश की फेडरलिज्म यानी संघवाद का जो हमारा देश का बुनियाद है, स्तंभ, एक स्तंभ हमारे संविधान का, उसी के ऊपर एक हमला है। ना सिर्फ वो है, लेकिन हर देश के राज्य सरकारों को आप इस हैसियत पर ले आ रहे हो कि उनको आखिरकार आकर सरकार से मेहरबानी मांगनी पड़ेगी कि हमें जो है आप कुछ पैसे रिलीज करिए। यानी हर राज्य सरकार, हर रीजनल पार्टी को आप जो है एक गुलाम के रूप में आप जो है उतार रहे हो। Therefore, for all these 6 points, I'm firmly of the opinion that this is not only a regressive and retrograde budget, but this is a budget that is callous and criminal in this situation, where it doesn't meet the double whammy attack that the country, people, and the economy are facing. And that is why this budget is the entire focus of this budget is the loot of our national assets. The British, under the British, there was a drain of wealth of India. Under this BJP government and Prime Minister Modi, it is the loot of India's assets that is taking place in an unprecedented manner. So these are some of the points that I wanted to share with you. Thank you. Thank you for being with me. Now, if there are any questions, then we'll take them. Yes, there's one from Shemin Joy of Deccan Herald. Do you see the budget as something that is aimed at elections in 5 states? Is the state benefiting? Yes, the cosmetics of it, they have announced big allocations, some allocations for the states where the elections are due. And these elections are due, all of us know, Bengal, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Assam, and Pondicherry. They've announced some schemes for that. But remember, by the time any of these materialize, those elections are going to be over. And after that, depending on the result, we'll know whether they will be materialized or not. So it's more or less an electoral gimmick. That is all. I don't see states benefiting with an announcement. They may benefit with the flow of resources, but that is unlikely to happen before the elections conclude. And anyway, the code of conduct will come in by then, and that will be the excuse for the government. So it's just another gimmickry. Yes, there's a question from Jomi Thomas, but this is not connected with the budget, Jomi. This is about the electoral tactics in Tamil Nadu. Let us see if we have time. Then we'll return to that. Let me see if there are any other questions on the budget that are there. Yes, there's one from Hindu Business Line, Jigish. Jigish is asking, there is an apprehension that the system of imposing levies is proving costly for the states as bulk of its share goes to the center. How do you see this? What will be the impact of this budget on the revenues of the states? I think I explained it when I was saying this. And my last point was actually exactly on this point. That's it. The divisible share of the revenues to be shared with the states is being constantly reduced, and the center share, consequently, in proportion, will increase, and the state share will decrease. That's correct, what I just explained, and that's what will happen. The second question of his is that Finance Bill carries amendments to other acts such as LIC, SEBI, Benami properties. A case is in Supreme Court on the increasing use of money bills. What is your view on this? My view has been very clear. I articulated in the Parliament. You see, Article 110 of the Constitution has 3 parts. 110(1) talks of what is a finance bill. the components of it. 110.2 talks of what is not a finance bill. And 110.3 talks of that in case of a dispute that arises, which is beyond 101 and 2 of that article, then the Speaker's decision will be final and binding. Now, most of these things that have been brought in or smuggled in through the finance bill in the past also, like electoral bonds, like Aadhaar, like all sorts of things have come in the finance bill. Those things are clearly defined in 1101 and 1102. How can the Speaker's decision apply to those that are clearly defined in 1101 and 1102? So 1103, we said, will have to be in adherence with the provisions of 1101 and 2. Now that is something has been our position. This is, I think, being used very, very indiscriminately and in a most improper manner, violating the spirit of the Constitution. And that is why the case is before the Supreme Court. Well, there are many cases before the Supreme Court, unfortunately. You've got the most important challenges to the Citizenship Amendment Act, to Article 370 being abrogated, to the status of Jammu and Kashmir as union territories, etc., including the case on electoral bond. And I'm personally, as a party and as a General Secretary, party to many of these issues where my petitions are also there. But this is also one of those, the money bill issue that is lying before the Supreme Court. Then Manikandan from Mathrubhumi. CPM already decided for a nationwide protest and campaign against the anti-BJP. What will happen? The second question of his is that finance bill carries amendments to other acts such as LIC, SEBI, Benami properties. A case is in Supreme Court on the increasing use of money bills. What is your view on this? My view has been very clear. I articulated in the Parliament. You see, this Article 110 of the Constitution has three parts. 110.1 talks of what is a finance bill, the components of it. 110.2 talks of what is not a finance bill. And 110.3 talks of that in case of a dispute that arises, which is beyond 101 and 2 of that article, then the Speaker's decision will be final and binding. Now, most of these things that have been brought in or smuggled in through the finance bill in the past also, like electoral bonds, like Aadhaar, like all sorts of things have come in the finance bill. Those things are clearly defined in 1101 and 1102. How can the Speaker's decision apply to those that are clearly defined in 1101 and 1102? So 1103, we said, will have to be in adherence with the provisions of 1101 and 2. Now that is something has been our position. This is, I think, being used very, very indiscriminately and in a most improper manner, violating the spirit of the Constitution. And that is why the case is before the Supreme Court. Well, there are many cases before the Supreme Court, unfortunately. You've got the most important challenges to the Citizenship Amendment Act, to Article 370 being abrogated, to the status of Jammu and Kashmir as union territories, etc., including the case on electoral bond. And I'm personally, as a party and as a General Secretary, party to many of these issues where my petitions are also there. But this is also one of those, the money bill issue that is lying before the Supreme Court. Then Manikandan from Mathrubhumi. CPM already decided for a nationwide protest and campaign against the anti-people policies of the central government. You have been repeatedly arguing for opposition unity. What is your suggestion to other political parties to take this forward? against the Modi government. Yes, our appeal to the other parties is there still, and it continues to be there. But right now, the parliament is in session, and the other political parties and everybody is together in parliament. They boycotted the president's address on this in solidarity with the Kisan protest, demanding the repeal of these laws. Today, the parliament, when at least the Rajya Sabha did not function because they demanded a discussion on the Kisan protests. So let us see what will happen in the future. But this cooperation of the opposition parties is happening in the parliament. So once this session is over, subsequently we'll take it outside. But it should happen both inside and outside parliament. And our efforts to strengthen this outside parliament will continue. Any other questions? So now, Jomi, your question which you want to know. In Tamil Nadu, you are part of an electoral understanding with DMK and other parties. In Kerala, you have doubts about Muslim League's credentials. What is the party's stand on the League, and is it a communal outfit? You see, as far as the League is concerned, they are different in different states. There are different alignments, different ways in which the League is behaving. In Tamil Nadu, it has been part of the DMK front for many decades. In Kerala, it's been part of the Congress-led front UDF for many decades. So that is continuing. There's no need to characterize what is their character today at this point of time. That is not in an election, that is not what you do. So the League has been with the DMK in Tamil Nadu, has been with the Congress in Kerala. So that is where the matters are. The LDF and the UDF are logged in this electoral battle in Kerala, as all of you know, and that will continue. Okay, so I think that is all the questions that I have got, both on on the mail and on the WhatsApp. So since if there are no more, then I'll take leave of you now. Thank you very much. बहुत शुक्रिया कि आज के दिन आप इस प्रेस ब्रीफिंग में पहुंच सके हैं और हमको ज्वाइन किया इस ऑनलाइन प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में. बहुत शुक्रिया, धन्यवाद सबका.
സീതാറാം യെച്ചൂരി ദില്ലിയിൽ മാധ്യമങ്ങളോട് സംസാരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. ബജറ്റ് കോർപ്പറേറ്റ് പ്രീണന നയങ്ങൾ ഉൾക്കൊള്ളുന്നതാണ്. കർഷകരെ നിരാശപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന ബജറ്റാണ് കേന്ദ്രം അവതരിപ്പിച്ചത്. രാജ്യത്തിൻ്റെ സാമ്പത്തിക മാന്ദ്യം ഒഴിവാക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ട നടപടികളോ നയങ്ങളോ ഈ ബജറ്റിൽ കാണാനില്ല. പാവപ്പെട്ടവരെ വീണ്ടും പരിതാപകരമായ അവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് നയിക്കുന്ന ബജറ്റാണ് കേന്ദ്രം അവതരിപ്പിച്ചത്. നികുതി ആനുകൂല്യങ്ങൾ കോർപ്പറേറ്റുകൾക്ക് മാത്രമാണ്. അടിസ്ഥാന വികസനം മറന്ന ബജറ്റ് കൂടിയാണെന്ന വിമർശനമാണ് സീതാറാം യെച്ചൂരി മുന്നോട്ട് വെച്ചത്. പൊതുമേഖലകളെ സർക്കാർ കൈയൊഴിയുകയാണ്. കാർഷിക സെസ് സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളെ പ്രതിസന്ധിയിലാക്കുമെന്നുകൂടിയാണ് സീതാറാം യെച്ചൂരി സൂചിപ്പിച്ചത്.